Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. I hope you guys all had a great weekend and you're ready to get back to some markets. Things have been crazy and wild today. We're going to talk about that. Really quickly, just to remember, we have a start of a week here, and this is a good time to get a free trial to the group because it's a 5-day trial. It gives you a pretty good idea of how we are going to trade during the week. So you can come here to daytradersfx.com, get a brief explanation, a little 2-minute video here. And you can get that free trial just by going to this little button in the upper right hand corner. Likewise, come to the website, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. That's where you see some daily video updates and so on. And in Twitter, I update very, very regularly, a few times a day, with some good trade ideas and so on. So have a look at that. Okay, let's just get a quick little look at how the U.S. markets have gone today. It's been a very crazy day for sure. You can see the Dow ended up closing down just a little bit, S&P down a bit. Gold has, well, we'll look at gold shortly, and oil is actually up a little bit here, so that's looking pretty good. Um, as far as news goes, we did have Bernanke speaking. He was paired with the Bank of England President King, and so there was some activity there. We've got a little bit of Japanese news coming out today. You can see Kuroda is speaking sometime this evening, so keep an eye on that. And then likewise, we've got some stuff from Australia coming out. Tuesday is a pretty good day. We have durable goods, which is a big one. Consumer confidence, a big one. New home sales, pretty big. Wednesday, we've got a couple good announcements. Pending home sales, some CPI for Canada, Thursday, Friday. So we've just got some good stuff. And then we start hitting some daylight savings stuff coming into the weekend. And so that's going to be kind of interesting. We'll have an eye. We'll keep an eye on that. But that's just one thing to watch out for is that daylight savings. Okay, euro dollar. Cyprus has obviously been the big to-do on the news lately, and so we've seen huge reactions out of the euro pairs specifically. We've seen the euro dollar kind of running around here nicely and so on, and then we had this big kind of collapse here. The high to low on the euro dollar today is 200, almost 220 pips, so a pretty big run down there. And now it's just kind of consolidating here after all that news. So the question is, what are we going to do with this euro dollar now that we've seen, this recent leg of movement? There's probably going to be some pullback. There's probably going to be some retracement. The markets will recover from the crazy news situation just a bit. But overall, here's what we've seen happen. This channel has been holding in place very, very nicely. What happened is we got a little break out of that channel. We ran up to the 200-day moving average and just collapsed right off that 200-day moving average and came right down to this 128 kind of 30 area, which oddly enough, we were looking at 128.80 and we've kind of finally cleared that out of the way. 128.80 has been a big one, and I think that's kind of behind us, but we'll probably be back up above that before too long, before hopefully coming back down below it again. But you can see that we've had some definite tests of this 128 kind of 25-30 area back here in September and October of last year, and so there's definitely been some reaction there. But overall, we're just back into about the middle of this trend channel here, and we should be able to make our way down into some of this bigger support here. Remember, my big target is 126.60. That's what I'm looking for. That's our November low. That's the bottom of this channel as of current. Great area to trade towards. So I'm looking for 126.60. But after a big rundown like this, we're going to need to see a little bit of retracement, and so that's where I'm going to be looking for a couple of things here. So if we can get back above 128.80, a break above 128.80, which again we're only about we're just about 30 pips away from that. We get back above 128.80, and I'm looking to trade this just into a couple of these short-term fib levels. But ultimately, I like trading it back into the upper area of this trend line that we broke out of right here, and the descending channel from our daily charts. We have this little trend line that we broke. A couple hours ago that goes from the low of last week on up. And then we have this nice little descending channel and so on. By the way, it's interesting to note that the top of this run just about filled that gap. We got pretty close to filling that gap from last week, so that was kind of a necessary little move there. But once again, above 128.80, I'm looking to trade this into about 129.15 and then ultimately into about 129 30-40 area. So I think we have a, approximately 40 to 50 pip run somewhere in there if we get above 128.80. So that's what I'm going to be looking for if we make it above 128.80. Otherwise, if we just run up to 128.80 and it seems to hold and we can't get above that, then that may also be a good area to short off of. We'll have a little bit more, news on that as we get into the daily wrap-up session this afternoon. So that'll be one thing that we'll really be covering. But you can see I'm spending a little bit of extra time on the euro because we have so much crazy news coming out of the European Union right now. We're just trying to kind of gauge what might be the next leg of movement. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now. Above 128.80 into 129.30-40 area. And if we stay below this, then we could just be headed right on through, into 12700 and 126.60 and so on. So watch for those reversal candles and definitely join us this afternoon for the daily wrap-up session. A few more hours of price action will tell us definitely a lot. Here is the pound dollar. Now, as you guys remember, I was very gung-ho, so to speak, about the pound dollar as we closed out on Friday. I talked about it in the daily video, the daily wrap-up sessions, Thursday and Friday, and just the importance of this pound dollar. Now, I still think the pound dollar has plenty of bullish potential to it for the short term, but a few things needed to happen. First of all, we needed to reach that missed weekly pivot, which we've done, and then we had this missed daily pivot from Friday, which we've also reached as well. So we've kind of cleared those out of the way. Now here we have this nice little trend line right here that has been tested, so on and so on. But remember, what I'm looking for here is this huge run. We made an open, we opened and closed and so on above the 23% fib, which is around the 23% fib was around 151 kind of 80, 90, and then we have this resistance here that was 152.20, and we've kind of opened and closed above that as well. We've made just a little bit of a pullback, but I can't help but think this is kind of that area that's stopping out all those longs that have gotten in above this, and giving us a nice area or a nice chance to kind of get in and start trading back up into this area. So remember, from this area here, from about 152.00, I think we have a very realistic run into 154.00 at least, which is the 38% fib. And so that's what I'm shooting for. Nice little inverted head and shoulders pattern. We're breaking that neckline, and so it's probably time to start getting long pound dollar again. That little trend line I'm talking about, we've kind of just tested it. We've been testing, and I think it might be time to start getting long against some of these lows here. So what I'm liking right now, here's our low of the week, which is about 35 pips away, and this is probably my key area that I'm looking to get long against right now. And you can see that low is just below 151.50, and so 151.50 is a definite good support area. So I'm looking to probably get long against that. But again, I'm going to have more. These markets, because of so much news, have been a little bit more tricky than not, and so that's initially what I'm looking for, but that's not the definite entry that I'm going to be taking just yet. Unfortunately, I don't have the most clear answer right now of how I'm going to trade this one. I just know that I'm going to be getting long and looking to trade back above 152.00 and into ultimately 154.00. So keep an eye on Twitter and try to join us in the afternoon daily wrap-up sessions. That's where we actually post pending orders for the day, and that's a great time to kind of get more clarity on what is talked about in the daily video. But essentially, that's what I'm looking for on this pound dollar for now. The Aussie dollar is holding pretty strong. We've seen some pretty nice moves on the Aussie dollar. The one thing I'm still watching out for is we have this missed weekly pivot that's about 30, almost 40 pips away, and so I'm just kind of holding off on that. I'm not doing anything until we get a little bit closer to this, into that Friday high, into this 104 kind of 15 area / weekly pivot. Then I'll probably be looking to get long there. But we have reached, remember my level, 104.75. We've reached that. We touched it. You can see that we came up there and we reversed off it pretty nicely, actually. And so that's why I'm looking for a little bit. I think we have a good chance of breaking. I think we have a good chance of making it up above 105.00, but I want to see some retracement first down towards 104.00 before I get in. And it's going to probably be this 104.15, 20, 30 area against a trend line, against a support, kind of taking out that weekly pivot. So that's what I'm looking to do. The rest of these pairs, we've seen some crazy movement on gold. The yen pairs have gone all over the place. The Aussie yen. One thing interesting about the Aussie yen is it has double bottomed perfectly. Our Sunday night low here and our Sunday night low here are exactly the same, to the pip, 97.72. And so they've bottomed out there nicely, and I think we might be looking for some opportunities on this Aussie yen to get long possibly, but I'll let you guys know a little bit more about that. I'm not ready to take that entry just yet either. So the rest of the yen pairs are kind of wild and crazy, lots of pin bars on 1 hour charts and so on. But ultimately, I'm looking for that move on the euro dollar and the pound dollar, and ultimately the Aussie dollar. One interesting thing to point out about the euro Aussie, we had a great little trade on this last week where we bought against this low and we ran up very nicely, some great profits there. And then the euro dollar or the euro Aussie has come back down again. It's in the bottom of this channel, and it's come down to we already broke January's lows. Now we're sitting at December's lows, and we could be running into November lows, which is 121.50-60 area. So it looks like we might just be headed back down into that zone as well. So lots of great trading opportunities. We'll talk more about it as we get into that daily wrap-up session, but those are kind of initially the things I'm looking for. A little retracement up on the euro dollar, a little, possibly a dip lower to buy on the pound dollar, and a dip lower to buy on the Aussie dollar, and I'm looking to buy euro dollar above 128.80. That's it for now, guys. I will have more details in the daily wrap-up session and more things coming out on Twitter. Thanks a bunch, everyone, and we'll see you soon.